To what extent does PC culture obfuscate discussion about Islam and terror?
Can I ask you, what do you mean in this context by PC culture?
The idea that it's important never to be offensive.
Douglas Murray.
I think it does have a very large role to play in this, I have to say. You know, there is a discussion about these matters, but it does move very slowly, and I think we're very slow learners in this discussion. For many years after 9/11, for instance, I mean, normally people said, George Bush said it, Tony Blair said it, everybody said that attacks like that had nothing to do with Islam. And we knew what they were doing. They were trying to say, you know, for goodness sake, and rightly, they were saying, for goodness sake, don't take this out on your Muslim neighbour or your Muslim friend or anything else. And we know that was what they were saying by it. But we also know that that isn't true, that it obviously does have something to do with Islam. And that is a very difficult conversation, a very difficult set of issues to face up to. And I think that the reluctance to face up to them is understandable. And we're not very good in this country at discussing religion in general. We're very wary about treading on other people, particularly of people of other skin colours, beliefs. You know, there's all sorts of things that cross over on this. But I think that we are getting there. I mean, we are starting to have a discussion in recent years, which is a discussion we need to have. You know, just as any other type of terrorist, when they act, we look into their motives, we look into why they say they do it, and we investigate the motives. So we do and need to do with anyone saying that they're doing an act in the name of Allah.
You have in the past said, I think after the census came out in 2011, amongst other things, you wrote saying that the white community in this country, because of the numbers of ethnic minority communities, and you touched on Muslim communities as well, were feeling they were being told, shut up, put up, this is how it is, this is how life has to be, as if there was an element of this, which was the numbers. And I think in another piece you've spoken about the fact that the larger a Muslim community is, the greater the proportionate risk there is of Muslim extremists and terrorists.
Anyone who doesn't think there's a problem doesn't have enough Muslim friends, because their Muslim friends could tell them what a problem there is. Muslim communities around the world know the problem. We have it in this country. We have it with the funding by Saudi Arabia, for instance, of Wahhabi institutions in this country, which promote a toxic ideology which most Muslims around the world dislike and are fearful of, and are rightly fearful of. And there are a number of strains of thought, like the Wahhabi strain, which do cause division wherever they go. They cause division between Muslims and non-Muslims, and they cause division within the Muslim communities. And this is a very big problem which has to be faced up to.
Caroline Lucas.
Well, the original question was about whether or not PC culture is stopping us debating these issues. And to my mind, the much bigger danger is not PC culture, but actually the danger from those who are seeking to use the evil acts of terrorists as a way of stirring up hatred and division. And that's exactly, of course, what the terrorists want. And, you know, as Brendan Cox has said, this man was about as representative of Islam as the terrorist who murdered Joe Cox is representative of Yorkshire. And I think the way in which whole religions are being, slammed as if they are all equally responsible is deeply worrying. And we saw within moments, actually, of that atrocity on Wednesday. We saw Aaron Banks coming out, blaming multiculturalism, blaming immigration. We saw Nigel Farage doing the same. We saw, the former EDL leader, Tommy Robinson, doing the same. And I think we absolutely need to stand up to those who will try to use these atrocities for an opportunity to build yet more hatred, because that is not what we need to be doing. And that is actually not what London did do. I mean, it was been the most moving thing to see the tributes at Trafalgar Square, or to see the amount of money, for example, that's been raised for PC Keith Palmer's family. That is the best of us. So we've got a choice, really, when we have an atrocity like this. We can either see the worst, and I think that's certainly what we saw from the ultra-right wing, trying to make political capital out of it, or we can see the best, and the best was certainly what we saw from Keith Palmer and others.
people try to make political capital out of things from all directions. You know that. Everybody in politics knows that. And that doesn't mean that, that there isn't a problem here, if I can say so. I wanted to just pick up on this crucial thing that goes back to the question. You see, I think we dance around this too much. I think we don't have a frank debate about it, and I think we know we don't have a frank debate about it. And let me give you an example. If I decided here and now to start criticising or joking or laughing about the founder of the Christian faith, we would not have any problems here tonight. If I said to you I wanted you to join me in laughing at and insulting the founder of Islam, we would actually have problems. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that the British press won't even publish a cartoon relating to the founder of Islam. Why is that? It's not because we are too afraid, as Dominic says. It's because people know that they're likely to be killed. Now, I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, in any discussion, if there is even a possibility, a minus 0.001% possibility that one thing you say might get you killed, it's highly likely that you'll avoid it. And my view is that in any discussion relating to religion, and we don't need to discuss those things on it all the time, but there are times when you do need to get into that detail, and there is no doubt about it that as a society we are terrified about doing this with Islam for justifiable reasons.
Pick up on that, if you would, Dominic Reeve.
I think we just need to be a bit careful here. Reasoned debate is not about insulting people.
Sure.
And on the whole, if I meet somebody who has a susceptibility to feel insulted, even if I think it may be one which I think may be exaggerated, I don't normally go out to start insulting them. And so one of the problems we have is there's a tendency to get into a dialogue at the moment where people feel that they want to go out and insult just to prove that they can do it. And I don't think that's actually what I was talking about when I said that we needed to have a reasoned and open debate, and that moderate people in our society need to do this and not worry about the PC aspects. If we have the courage of our convictions on this, we will build the dialogue. And that is actually what we need in this country, not just here, as I said, but it's in a wider context, with considerable, perhaps more honesty than we have at the moment. But that's different from simply this sort of pendulum swing, which I think is dangerous from one extreme to the other, where you simply say that we've got to have a right to insult people because they don't like being insulted.
I didn't say insult. I said to have the discussion, crucial bits of the discussion. And I'm saying even if you had this discussion, crucial parts of this discussion, you actually couldn't have it, and everybody knows what I'm talking about.
We have a severe problem discussing the impact of Muslim immigration. The term Islamophobia is used to silence, and people are lectured. There we are. Do you want to pick up on that point, just that single point? We have a severe problem discussing the impact of Muslim immigration. It's not directly that issue in what we have just discussed, but do you think that is an issue, Shabana Mahmood? Difficult to discuss?
I mean, certainly I think that when a lot of people are talking about immigration or wider issues around integration, what they're really talking about is Muslim, the size of the Muslim population in this country. Certainly I think that's true. Sometimes I feel like we're almost having a bit of a phony debate, or rather people just came out and said that Muslim immigration or the size of our population in this country is a problem. But what I would say is, we are citizens like everybody else. And, if you ask British Muslims about how patriotic and passionate they feel about their country, they feel very strongly passionate and patriotic. They're very proud to be British. They're very proud of their civic identities, and that's really important to us. And if we are going to have that reasoned debate, if people are going to feel comfortable saying they're worried about the levels of Muslims, the numbers of Muslims in this country, then let's also be fair and ask those Muslims how they feel about this country. And I think you'll find a lot of love and a lot of gratitude for the opportunities that we have here in Britain.
Very briefly, Dominic, and then
so
Karen.
right about this. All my experience from my time of my engagement with Muslims in this country is that their patriotism is absolutely one of the most marked characteristics. They're really proud to be British and Muslim.
So, Dominic, why can't we just look at both the good and bad sides in this?
But of course
There are
we
good
can.
sides, which, like that one you say. Look at the bad side. A recent poll done last year showed that among the Muslim community in Britain, there was zero tolerance for homosexuals, and 52% of British Muslims wanted homosexuality, i.e. people like me, to be made illegal. Illegal. Now, hang on. That is so far outside the normal belief in this country now, across the country.
But within the Muslim communities, a majority think it should today be made
Douglas,
illegal to be gay in Great Britain. So let's, Dominic, please. So let's look at the good things. Yes, I want to join you. I want to join everybody in looking at the good things. But let's not ignore and cover over the big and bad problems we also
These are
face.
legitimate topics of debate, but it is worth bearing in mind that in our liberal tolerant society 60 years ago, you'd have had
absolutely.
well, precisely, you'd have had exactly the same opinion being expressed
and
by a
can
white
we-
Anglo-Saxon
and
audience.
so liberals just have to
rather
wait and
No,
be
not
patient.
Not at all. You can
Let's
and
all
you're
wait 60
entitled
years.
to challenge that, but I would not condemn an entire group of people for having
I'm
a
not
view
condemning.
which is at variance with your own, when I might point out that my experience is I come across lots of Muslims who have they may have their own personal views on the matter, but have no problem living in a society where homosexuality is not only decriminalised, but actually now completely regarded as part of the norm.
Caroline Lucas, last words, Caroline Lucas. I'm afraid we must go on.
Well, I mean, I deplore homophobia, but the idea that that is the preserve only of the Islamic faith is completely wrong. There are plenty, unfortunately, of Christians who suggest that homophobia is wrong as well. But the point I wanted to make, was about the immigration issue, because I just simply wanted to observe.
You didn't, frankly, have the balls to put country before party.